Alright guys, I'd like to thank you for tuning in the channel today. We've got a new product here called solder stick, or solder seal, sorry. I was scrolling through Facebook, these popped up. You know what, I'll try them. You know, I've got a new UTV coming in side by side, and of course you want everything to be as sealed up as you can on the connections. And I've always used these classic ones here, you know, the ones you crimp and then you just heat shrink them. They work okay, but the problem is when you crimp them, you know, in the middle, it always busts through the plastic, and so you've got a hole there for moisture to get in. I previously shot this video, and I was working on it, and I let all these wires sit and let the solder sit, and then I went and started trying to pull them apart, and what I noticed is it was only welding 2 or 3 strands, and so I was like, okay, well, this isn't going to pass my QC test because, you know, that's for my amperage. I wanted to solder most of the wire in there. So I sat here and soldered a few of them, tried a few more to make sure that it would work and that they would hold. And what I figured out that I was doing incorrectly is I could see in these tubes, you know, I stripped about maybe, I don't know, a little less than 1/4 inch of wire, and the solder was actually just running down the wire. So what you've got to do, there's very little solder inside there. So what I'm doing now is, instead of stripping so much of the wire, or what we're used to stripping for stuff like this, right? I'm barely doing, man, maybe an 1/8 of an inch or a 1/16 of an inch. If you look at that, not very much. Let's go ahead and do another one, and we'll test it while we've got the video up here. Because these are some really nice connectors, and I want them to work, and I want to be happy with them. So again, just barely stripping any of that wire. I'm using the blue for 12 gauge, which is a little bit different. You know, they want you to use the yellow, but the yellow leaves too much gap and the solder runs out on those, so I'm going to go a bit smaller. And again, now you can see when I push that wire in there, if that will focus, you know, the insulation of the wire is right up next to the solder. So we're trying to make it, you know, bunch these two in, make a big, large thing for it to weld together. And for me, pushing those together, I've got, see the insulation of the wire on each side pushed in as far as I can get it. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and weld this. I tried to do this with a 300 watt heat gun, just one of these standard Dormans, and it's not quite enough heat to melt the solder. Of course, it's enough to take the heat shrink down. So, and then I'm also going to squish the solder right here in the middle with my fingers, and you can feel it, makes it a little tight, kind of like crimps it in there. All right, so let's go ahead and heat this up. And when you're heating them up, I generally work the outsides. That way it attaches to the wire so it won't slip while you're soldering it. Okay, and then we just go into the center and start melting that solder. And you'll see it turns a darker gray when it melts and puts it on the wire, right? So we've got a good connection there. Looks like that's pretty much welded all the way around. We'll get the back side here just a little bit more. Alright, we're going to let that sit. And then we'll try to pull that apart in just a second. While it's doing that, we'll go ahead and do another one. Guys, I try not to upload stuff on my channel if it's not a product that I think is worth using. So I'm going to thoroughly test this, make sure it's not something that just welds 2 strands. I'll grab another one here while that other one's sitting. Again, I'm going to push those wires together as much as I can, make the biggest piece in that insulation, squeeze it with my fingers. Let's weld up one more of them. I really want these to work because, man, the idea on them is really good. You're talking about a really good sealed, welded, soldered connection. Alright, so we got dark gray in there. I can see the solder smashing out. This one looks well done. We're going to let that sit also. So let's go back to our other unit. Guys, it's a nice weld. Look at that. It doesn't come apart. It's welded in there really good. You just need to make sure you get enough heat in the middle, like I said, and push those insulation of the wires in as much as you can to make the biggest bundle of copper inside that sleeve where the solder is going to come apart. And that's the trick. If you just strip these, you know, if you strip, you know, a little over 1/4 inch on them, you know, between 1/4 and 1/2, you know, that much, and you push them in there and it makes a bundle, and you solder it up, they're going to pull apart. So I do really like these, and I'm going to use them. We'll test this one here in just a sec. Again, nice tight connection, not going anywhere. It's welded up tight. So I do recommend these. Just make sure, as far as the application, that you are, you know, making sure you get a good connection, making sure you get a good solder absorption in the wires, and go for it. So if you like this video, please hit the like and subscribe. We'll catch you on the next one.